Agree.
to talk about your appraisal review services now?
But yeah, no, I mean appraisal review. I mean that's really I mean my approach is just would just be to is looking at the different sections and looking at in the internal consistency of information. I think it's very easy, very, very easy to make, broad statements, say, in a market analysis essay, if your appraisal report has one, but then to somehow contradict it in like the comparable narrative that follows later. So just even things as simple as that, even things as simple as just drilling down on some of the differences, qualitative differences between the different comparables and the subject work, and really articulating them. Um, those kind of things. I mean, they just give your opinion that much more force, and they allow you to be more persuasive. Um, and in the way that I would do appraisal reviews, the habit that I got into is that accumulating, seeing all this feedback. Well, one thing you start to see that some people get, even some experts, long time appraisers, are get very caught up on things that nobody else really cares about. Like things I can't. I'm finding it. I feel a little on the spot trying to think of like a specific example. Like there's people who were um, just adamant about the order that comparables should be in. And it's just like, well, there's no, USPAP doesn't say anything like that. There's literally, it's those are kind of things that are helpful as individuals to, explain why you do things a certain way. But they're certainly not rules, So that was one of the things you got to kind of separate suggestions from requirements.
Mhm.
But I think the realm of suggestions is the one that's the most powerful, because you know it's all geared towards the end result. Are you convincing the user? Are you convincing whoever is relying on this appraisal? Um and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so at Artifactual History Appraisal, you lead our appraisal review services. You want to talk about the kinds of, you know, s- people, assignments, corporations, insurance companies that you welcome hearing from to provide your expert appraisal review services?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, users of appraisal reviews, I mean, yeah, it's sometimes it's a second opinion, sometimes it's a just a quality control. It's also a form of training. You know what I mean? It can be a form of like training a new appraiser or staff member. Um, yeah, sometimes it's for preparation for like legal proceedings. It could be one of these, any one of those things. That's yeah, and I think the ideal thing I think is in educational context. Like it's a one of those pieces. Appraising isn't all any one thing. It's not only your market experience, and that makes you able to do it. There's many over the years, many members, many candidates, many potential members who have that in spades, but never quite did it. It's not only knowing USPAP, because I mean you can have a USPAP compliant report that's just not very good. I think it just doesn't do it doesn't maybe doesn't go far enough, but maybe it's technically USPAP compliant. Which kind of speaks to there's a certain philosophy of thinking of USPAP as the minimum, and that's another space where appraisal review can kind of come in and kind of make these suggestions to go far beyond the minimum, which could be appropriate. It depends on the property. It depends on the property. Maybe it's a very high value thing, and that's you want to do far beyond the minimum in those situations. Um, um, I don't want to just ramble here. Um,
But yeah, so
yeah.
appraisers who are looking, kind of new to appraising, they're looking for some professional development support,
Mhm.
expert review of their appraisals, kind of getting that firm foundation. They can reach out
Mhm.
to you. Your email's on the website. Insurance companies who have some appraisal, things that are scheduled that they'd really like to see, do they need to make some shifts? They can reach out to you. Corporations, appraisers
Absolutely.
who are preparing for a really big job and they'd really, feel more comfortable having an expert set of eyes look at it. They can reach out to you. So many instances.
Absolutely, yeah, totally welcome any reason whatsoever. And I mean, it's the benefit of it is um, coming from me, at least, if I can, you know, toot my own horn here. The having reviewed, looked at, and kind of been the first set of eyeballs on hundreds of reports a year coming from potential new members, but then also reviewing the experts' opinions of those reports, um, and then really having a chance to digest and drill down and create these sort of dossiers of feedback. And that to me is that's the goal, is the juicy documents of just really good advice, and
Yes.
that's what you want.
And
And also, understanding the adjudicating all the differences of opinion out there, because not everyone does everything the same way. Not all the associations do things the same way. That's another layer of all this. That I mean, there's supposedly some kind of circle of trust among all the associations to share substantive knowledge, whatever that is. But there's a lot of daylight between the way that ISA people do things and the way that Appraisers Association do things, and we all know that. Um, but on paper, they're all looking to use PAP. They're all looking to, the Appraisal Foundation. Um, and I think it's just a matter of, acknowledging these differences and moving forward in really good ways, not competitive ways, and in like
yes,
substantive, ameliorative ways.
constructive, positive,
Yeah,
collaborative ways. And I will note that you also are familiar with how other organizations do things, like the ISA way of doing things. So your feedback will be relevant to people who've been trained in those formats as well.
exactly. Yes, on the back end at the Appraisers Association, and then on the appraiser member end at the ISA. So that's, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And something I really respect about your philosophy for appraisal review is it's not punitive, it's constructive, it's
Right.
positive. It's how can we make the field better, which is like your
Mhm.
service as a panelist on the personal property resource panel. It's like you're really passionate about how can we make the appraisal field work better, be good for us as appraisers, be good for users of appraisal services. There's so much opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all in it together.